Hey, good morning, everyone. This is the Leafs Convo. Norman, London, Mike in Buffalo. Season 8 continues on. It's episode 5. Like the content, subscribe to the channel. Jump into the chat. The Leafs, a 4-3 overtime loser to the Kraken, a Seattle team at Scotiabank Arena. Josh Mahura breaking hearts. And Anthony Stolarz, the pseudo number one for your Maple Brothers, not too happy about it all. After the game, saying a lot of guys have been here for a while. Overtime, you can't let someone beat you up the ice there and get a clear-cut breakaway. You want to be on the ice in that situation. You've got to work hard, got to work back. It costs us a point. When you work hard, the results come. Well, Anthony Stolarz certainly did work pretty hard, not only last night, but throughout the week, calling out his teammates. What do you think that is, Mike? Is this the competitor in him coming out? Was there real frustration there based on what he thinks he saw on the ice? Or is it just him giving the media after the game a quote that they can run with?
No, I think that he was expressing genuine concerns about the team. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, the last week they've gone 2-1-1. They destroyed Nashville. Two close victories, or a close victory in overtime over the Rangers, an overtime loss to Seattle, and then the late loss against Detroit on Thanksgiving Monday. The margin of victory is less with this team, obviously, because they don't have a certain player any longer. But they're still a very competitive, very good team, and the difference between winning and losing now, more than ever, is going to be the effort that you put in, and that's what Stolarz sees. If and I'm pretty sure, because I watched it and then turned it off just after the goal. I'm pretty sure it was Nylander who was sort of like lollygagging at the end there.
What do you think was going on in Nylander's mind? He's just standing around watching. It's 3-on-3, and it's fire wagon. The chances are high, and the propensity of being able to score with high chances is increased that much more.
I think he was gassed. I mean, he was playing a ton of minutes last night. I mean, that may be a poor excuse. I mean, we've seen instances, and we've seen less and less of this with him. But we still see it where, like, all of a sudden he'll just like take a shift off, or he'll coast. But you can't do that in overtime, and that this is a situation where, I mean, I'm just looking it up right now. He only played 19 minutes. So, I mean, compared to Nyes and Matthews, who played over 20. So
Stolarz must have seen something that pissed him off, because rarely do we get this colorful a comment pre or post from this Maple Leafs team.
Well, I mean, the fact that Josh Mahura, who's the guy who scored the goal in overtime, hasn't scored in 2 seasons. I don't even know what the hell he was doing out there, but he beat Stolarz, and he beat him cleanly. For somebody who's a critic of Stolarz, you could say, well, stop the puck. But, he did a pretty good job yesterday. The problem is right now is, and I continue to say this, Anthony Stolarz is not a number one goaltender. He's a tandem goaltender at best. And
he's your number one now, Michael.
He has to be the number one right now. But, for the rest of the month, they have 2 back-to-backs. So we're going to see Caden Primo or Dennis Hildeby, unless Joseph Woll comes back. And they're, right now they're stuck playing Anthony Stolarz. And don't get me wrong, he has performed well. But I'm worried about, the future in terms of him playing 50 to 55 games and the wear and tear that it has. And part of that is, Mason Marchment doing Mason Marchment things, crashing into Anthony Stolarz.
Right.
And part of his rant yesterday was, well, my teammates are really not sticking up for me, or, making it hard on the other.
Well, Brandon Carlo's checking fucking guys into him while goals are being scored too. I mean, like, I know that Brandon Carlo's doing his thing in front of the net, but you can't cross-check the opposing player into your goalie while he's trying to make a save. I mean, that was really, really careless.
Well, yeah, and didn't he do? He did that on the goal too, on one of the goals.
Yeah, exactly. And this is something that we've seen and that has been talked about during intermissions with all of the intelligentsia who watches this team. That Anthony Stolarz is vulnerable to guys like Marchment, the Sam Bennett's of the world, who know that if they can nick at him, even in the smallest way, it's going to, one, get under his skin. Two, there's the susceptibility for injury, which we've already seen him go down to these kinds of things. Last night, it must have been a culmination of frustration that was topped off with what he saw in terms of the goal being scored against. But throughout the game, as he said, he's not getting the kind of support he needs to do his job.
And how do you stop it? He's basically saying, well, make it tough on their goaltender, and then it's mutually assured destruction. Not saying run Joey Daccord, but if by happenstance you come in there, you drive the net, and you make contact with him like Seattle did with Stolarz, they're going to think twice about doing it again.
But the Leafs don't have players who enjoy that practice.
Right, but they have to do it, and that was the point that Stolarz was making. They have to do it. It's like, then you don't want to get nicked up. You don't want to get pounded or cross-checked. I mean, you don't want Austin Matthews doing it because a couple cross-checks to the back, and then he's, having maintenance days because whatever back or hip or whatever issue he had all year. He looks healthy right now, so you don't want to risk that. But players like Dakota Joshua and Nicolas Waugh drive the friggin' net. Plow right into them.
Would they not get a directive from Craig Berube to do that? Especially, I mean, the other thing too is it's tit for tat. Okay, it's happening to us. Let's go get them. Should you not be preemptive as opposed to reactive? This is going to happen with Stolarz between the pipes every single time he takes the ice, Mike.
You would think that they would want to be preemptive, but I think that they're more of a reactive team. If they're not going to do it to us, we're not going to do it to them. We really it's out of our comfort zone to do it to them. So unless we have to do it, we're not going to do it. Now, somebody is in the chat saying dress Pizzetta. Pizzetta is in at Coca-Cola Coliseum, and hopefully he stays there because he's not a very good player. But if you want Sammy Blais to do it, if Sammy Blais gets into the lineup, but here's the issue: the Leafs don't have the luxury of playing these guys because right now, they have a lineup situation where they're playing Easton Cowan, and we'll talk about him in a minute. Mm-hmm. Scott Laughton is out of the lineup, but Lawton's going to come back pretty soon. Okay, who are you going to scratch? So you're probably going to scratch Nick Robertson. And to put Laughton back in the lineup, do you send Cowan back to the Marlies? You don't have the space to put a player like that. You couldn't put Ryan Reeves in this lineup if Ryan Reeves was actually Ryan Reeves, like the Ryan Reeves of the past. I mean, there's no space. You're gonna have to sit an effective player. You sit Bobby McMahon, sit Calle Jarnkrok. I mean, who will you sit?
Right.
That's the thing.
Right. Well, you lose Mitch Marner. The idea is we're going to score by committee to obviously make up for the points that he would collect, and let's get tougher. Let's get tougher, not knuckle dragging tougher, but let's be tougher, shift in and shift out.
Team tough.
I've seen them lose Mitch Marner. I haven't seen the team toughness yet.
Right. I think this is a call to action on the part of Stolarz. I think that this is a bigger team. But like I said, this is not Florida. Florida has Florida yesterday played in Buffalo. They were losing. They were losing badly. What happened? Well, Brad Marchand got cross-checked by Rasmus Dahlin. And what happened? Marchand went after Rasmus Dahlin and cross-checked him. And then it got a little dirty. Florida is proactive. Florida looks for that. This team I don't think looks for it. They can play a tough game. They have the size to play a different game than they've played before. Yeah. But I don't think they really want to go out and proactively play that game, but they can play that game when needs be.
Well, they don't have the personnel who can execute that game and keep it going and potentially be successful from it. On the other hand, the Florida Panthers have been to 3 Stanley Cup finals in a row, winning 2 of them playing that type of game. They just have it in them. Good morning, Greg Seaborn. Very little heart or toughness at the moment. Most are going through the motions and seem disinterested. Sad. I don't think they're disinterested in the least. They're doing what they do. And guys, we need to buckle up for this kind of season. There's going to be a bit of a run. There are going to be lulls. At the end of the day, will they be amongst the top teams in the division? That remains to be seen. The ride is just getting going, and we have to be here for it as Maple Leafs fans.
I think that, early in the season, because of some of the changeover that has occurred, there's going to be a feeling out process. There's going to be, you brought in Joshua, you brought in Waugh, Yarncroke is part of the lineup full time after, basically coming in, parachuting in at the end of last season after recovering from the injury. Lawton is going to be part of this as well.
Right.
So, you've got a 20-year-old rookie playing on the top line right now. So there's a lot of change. You got Matthias Michelli playing first line, second line, third line. And if you didn't notice, they shook everything up in the third period or in the second half of the game. All of a sudden, Riley was playing with Tanev. McCabe was playing with Carlo. You had Nylander playing with Nyes and Matthews. So
do you like that? Do you like that mixed master mindset?
The mixed master, fine. If things aren't working, throw it in a blender and try it. But I don't like Nylander playing with Nyes and Matthews, because if you stop that line, you stop the entire team. It's like you can't, that is all of your eggs in one basket. Right. Now, I have to say the positive things right now is, I thought John Tavares was over the hill. I thought everybody's saying, well, he can't play center anymore. He's too old. Shut up. I mean, 500
points as a Maple Leaf.
The guy scored 38 goals last year. He's playing very well this year. No, at the end of this contract, he may have to shift to the wing. Fine. They're not paying him a ton of money. They're getting great bang for the buck from him. And, all those Morgan Rielly critics, what are you saying now? Because Morgan Rielly now is jumping into the offensive attack. I mean, the one thing I'm concerned about is him as a quarterback on the power play. The power play has not been great. But Morgan Rielly, as I expected, I knew he was going to, after a year that even he said he struggled with. He came in with a new attitude, and he's playing more like the Morgan Rielly that we saw a few years ago.
That was a nice goal. All of the Leafs' top offensive players touched that puck too. Started in the Leafs' end with Nylander to Nyes and Matthews setting up Riley, who went to the net and just went top shelf. It was reminiscent of his 20-goal season, Mr. Augello. The Leafs have the third most goals in the league right now, 22. I think Vegas Golden Knights like 26 or something like that. But you know what? As much as most Leafs fans are happy that number 16 is in Las Vegas, it feels different. It looks different without him, Mike. I mean, there is a void that cannot be filled. I mean, the creativity, the ability to just kind of own the puck and create what he wanted to create, and that would benefit his teammates. I don't think the loss of Marner will ever be fulfilled. It'll have to be made up for in other ways, Mike. Yes, they're scoring goals, but to lose one of the most dynamic offensive players of a generation is quite difficult, and they're still trying to work their way through it. So far, not too bad, but his absence is noticed.
Yes. It's a cavernous hole, especially on that top line, because now you really don't have an answer.
Right.
You've tried Michelli. I didn't think that was a good idea, because I don't think Michelli is a top line player. I think he's more comfortable playing the left wing than the right wing. The guy that I think is the best fit for them currently on the roster is playing third line center right now, because Lawton is injured. So I'm expecting, once everybody gets healthy, that Domi will go back up on that top line. And I think that could, yield some results, because Domi is a playmaker. And I think he's better on the wing, because he's not particularly good defensively up the middle. You've tried him. You've tried Nylander. You've tried all the eggs in one basket. And you've tried a 20-year-old Easton Cowan. So clearly, the next step, the next chapter of the Maple Leafs, without Mitch Marner, is not complete right now. And based on what's been talked about by Elliot Friedman and other insiders like Pierre LeBrun and CJ, talking about the fact that Brad Treliving is out there, and even Keith Pelly is out there saying, we have to basically go all in, and it's like, it's go time. yeah, I mean, part of go time is going to be finding a replacement for Mitch Marner. Now, it won't be Mitch Marner. It won't be anybody as good as Mitch Marner, but you can find somebody to plug in if it's a rental or if it's somebody that's longer term. And that is probably something that Brad Treliving is going to look for before March the 6th, which is the trade deadline.
In the grand scheme of things, though, is Easton Cowan that guy? I mean, he was an offensive player through junior. I mean, one of the best in the country at times by a large margin. Yet, he's getting workmanlike minutes. He's got himself his point. But in the grand scheme of things down the line, is he not the player who would ultimately supplant Marner in terms of point production and, being that guy who can drive lines and change games?
He could be, but I think it's too early right now. You see what's going on. Like against Nashville, he was playing a regular shift, and they were never really in doubt in that game. And he was creative. And the thing that's concerning is he's been rocked a few times. He was rocked by Ozzy Weisblatt. He was rocked by Philip Forsberg, slashed him with the stick. So his annoying qualities. He's got that little bit of that Darcy Tucker in him. Yesterday he got rocked by somebody. And that's the thing you have to be concerned about. He's not the biggest player. He's just it's his first year in the pro, and he's already playing in the NHL. I think he can be the player that you were describing. I just don't know if that player is right now. And that's why, like when Lawton comes back, I think there's a good possibility he gets sent to the Marlies.
Right.
And I think, in the second half of the season, after playing 30 or 40 AHL games, remember, look at his history in London. He was a second half player and then blew up in the OHL playoffs the year before he got drafted by the Leafs. He's somebody who will build on it. It's not going to happen immediately. And that's
it's tantalizing because he's right there, yet he's not there. Right? He's not ready yet. There are very few players who can just step onto NHL ice for the first time without spending much time in the minors, if any, and be elusive to the point where they can escape the brutality and be creative and make a difference. I guess the assumption, even before Cowan took the ice with the Maple Leafs last week for the first time, was that he wasn't that dynamic enough of a player yet, but might get there. I mean, how did they make that determination? Why not just throw him in? Why not just throw him amongst the top two lines, build around him, and let the guy go? They've got enough firepower up there, enough veteran presence. Why not just make him that guy?
Well, I think that they've tried, but look, they gave him full, and I'm trying to see what ice time he had. Let me just see, because I can pull up the game logs.
Like 12, was it 12 to 14 minutes or something like that?
Well, yeah, against Nashville's 14 minutes. Okay. Yeah. So the next game against the Rangers, it was 1-1 in the third period. He sat the last 13 minutes of regulation. So that tells you, it's Craig Berube likes him, but when it comes down to it and you're talking about points at the end of the game, he's not going to play a 20-year-old rookie. Now, he played him a little more yesterday, down the stretch, but still, he's a rookie. And that's why, if the coach doesn't completely trust him when it comes to, making mistakes.
Yeah, but Marner and Matthews were playing those minutes when they in their first season.
But that was coming off a 32nd place finish. They remember that first year with Babcock, they were dead last in the NHL. Mm-hmm. You had Nylander, Marner, Matthews, Hyman, all these guys that were coming in first real pro year. They were going to make mistakes. You could live with them. This is a team that has Stanley Cup aspirations right now,
right.
and a gap in terms of the difference between victory and loss could be one mistake because you don't score as dynamic. This is not the team that's going to come back from 4 goals down. When you had Marner, Matthews, Nylander, Tavares, you could come back occasionally. This team is going to play more stout defensively, right. Keep games close, and cannot afford rookie mistakes.
So Cowan is he's the big fish coming out of the junior hockey pond, in the same lineage that Marner did and Matthews did 10 years prior, and then obviously Nylander was a pretty highly touted player who, did get some time in the AHL and it benefited him. It's hard for us to see a guy like Cowan with all of the fanfare and not expect him to be an integral player ASAP, right? Every players develop in different ways, but especially coming out of the Matthews and Marner era, where these guys, as you said, were just thrown to the wolves because what did you have to lose based on what the team had accomplished the year prior? It's going to take some patience, not just amongst the guys who make decisions to try to help this player work his way through his first year in the pros, but us as fans, right? Because the skill is tantalizing, but it's going to be applied. It's going to be applied slowly as time goes on. And I mean, who knows? He may not blossom into the kind of player that we'd like him to be, and the organization needs him to be for seasons to come. Who knows?
Well, I mean, he's going to be the player he's going to be. You know what I'm saying? It's like they cannot make him into Mitch 2.0. He's going to be Easton Cowan. I think he's going to provide things, different things. But again, I think the best that you're going to get out of him this year is, third, fourth line minutes if you play him in the NHL, but you can develop him into a top 6 forward if you give him time to mature and play in the American Hockey League. That might happen in the second half of the year. Like I said, play 30, 40, 45 games in the American Hockey League. If they're, if he succeeds down there, then that's great. And then you can bring him up. And if he doesn't, I am totally against burning the first year of his ELC and playing him more than 9 games if he doesn't show that he's completely ready. And right now, I don't think he's completely ready. It's nothing against the kid. I think he's a very talented kid. I think he's got a future, but the future is not now. The future might be down the road a little bit.
OG's Converse, thanks for being here. Like the content, subscribe to the channel. Stick with us. We appreciate you. Season 8 continues. Alex, good morning to you as well. Yeah, the Leafs are trying to figure out what they are. I mean, they can still score. They've got a bunch of guys who are fully capable of putting the puck in the net and being creative. I mean, we're going to get more from Matthew Nyes, right? This is supposed to be a big season for him. The goaltending situation, I mean, that's going to be a major question for as long as this team is in contention, and whether it can play a tough brand of hockey and be more assertive and be more proactive than reactive. That's a very very important part of being successful and having that success be sustainable. New Jersey's coming up on Tuesday, and then oh my goodness, it's a back-to-back with that juggernaut Buffalo Sabres team.
Well, they've won 2 in a row, and believe me, like they could lose 43,000 games in a row if they play Toronto. It's going to be a contest. And I mean, here's the issue about that. And I was talking about this with a reporter at the Sabres Panthers game yesterday. So right now, Buffalo and Toronto are in a similar situations where they have backup goaltenders that either they don't want to or are unsure about playing. Well, they have to in back-to-backs. So they're playing Friday night in Buffalo and Saturday night in Toronto. Mm-hmm. More than likely, Caden Primo is going to start in Buffalo. And then Stolarz would start the home game in Toronto. You give Stolarz an extra day of rest because he'll start against the Devils on Tuesday, and it gets like a little bit of a mini break. But Caden Primo gave up 4 goals against Nashville. And Caden Primo, I don't know why they don't want to play Dennis Hildeby, whether they don't think Dennis Hildeby is ready. Caden Primo is an okay backup, but he's nothing special. And the team really has to sort of play strapped down defensive hockey to win with him in the lineup. The Sabres, the same thing. It's like they're gonna play Alex Lyon, who's been their starter for every game so far this season. But then it's their first back-to-back. They're going to play Colton Ellis, the rookie that they claimed off of waivers on Saturday against the Leafs. Now, Colton Ellis could stand on his head. And that's the thing. It's like, you never know. You saw like Shane Wright yesterday, Ontario kid plays in Scotiabank Arena in front of his family, in front of his friends, and he stands on his head. Yeah. It always happens. And it always happens when you're on Hockey Night in Canada. So this team always has to step up and do something better, because you're always dealing with these players who are playing because their family or their friends are in the stands or watching them on TV. That's just inherent with what the Leafs have to deal with.
And it goes to show where we are right now. It's the battle of Colton Ellis and Caden Primo. It's a long way from the Leafs being up 2-0 in their series with the Panthers, up 2-0 in Game 3 and losing in overtime. Like, we were that close to having it all, and now it's the conversation over which backup goaltender is going to get the job done for the Maple Leafs. Welcome to mid-October during a regular season, Mike. I don't know what else you want to add to the show. I mean, Morgan Rielly looks. He looks reinvigorated, and that has to be sustained. And we obviously, the thing about him though is that as soon as he's putting up the offensive numbers, we tend to forget about any kind of defensive regression, right?
And then people complain about him, like getting caught up the ice. It's well, I'm sorry, complain about Lane Hudson getting caught up the ice.
And do you want offense from Morgan Rielly?
Yes,
for
yes.
you?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I mean, I think it's inherent. They need, especially in the wake of who left in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
They need Morgan Rielly to be more of an attacking, generating offensive defenseman. And right now he's got 6 points. Right now it's working.
And that's why they brought in Tanev and traded for Carlo.
Right.
To take the shackles off of Rielly.
Right.
And let him beat.
Yeah, Carlo is the right-handed defenseman that they needed to play with Morgan Rielly. Now, yesterday they mixed things up a little bit because things weren't working and a couple things were just awry. But, it's going to go back to Rielly and Carlo is the guy who stays back, and Rielly's the guy who jumps up into the attack. And, he's got to get back, and he can't just get caught up the ice all the time. But that's the dynamic. You need Morgan Rielly, especially with, you've got a zero offensive second pairing. And I'm not complaining because Jake McCabe and Chris Tanev are very effective defensively. They're a shutdown pairing. You don't expect offense from them. You get it. Right. If you get it, it's a bonus. But the only 2 offensive defensemen you have are Morgan Rielly and Oliver Ekman-Larsson. And Oliver Ekman-Larsson plays on the bottom pairing. So it's really a lot of weight is on the shoulders of Morgan Rielly to generate offense from the back. And, they're getting more offense than you would expect from the blue line. But, you can't have Simone Benoit jumping into the attack all the time.
Right.
You need Morgan Rielly to produce. And I think Morgan Rielly is going to end up 55 to 60 points this year.
Mm-hmm. Well, he has to stay healthy. When I look at that defensive group, Benoit, Tanev, McCabe, Carlo, Rielly, Ekman-Larsson, I mean, those are the 6 guys I want out there in late April and May, right? So let's just hope that they can stay cohesive, stay healthy, and, continue to build as a group and supporting the goaltenders, whether they goaltenders let them know or not. I mean, it's just an important thing to accomplish. John Tavares as well, another guy I wanted to pat on the back too. I mean, it hasn't been a sour show. But anytime your team loses in overtime and the goaltender who picked up the L is complaining about a lack of effort, I mean, we've got something to talk about, and it's not necessarily positive. But the way Rielly has his resurgence so far, and Tavares, I mean, he takes a lick and keeps on ticking, man. And more milestones ahead for that guy. Well, anything else you want to talk about hockey related before I ask you about how Game 6 goes?
Yeah, I'll just say, the one thing that maybe people are concerned about is like Nylander's only got 2 goals. He's got 9 assists. Matthew Knies has only 2 goals. He's got 6 assists.
They're third in the league in goals.
Right. So and part of that is, Matthew Knies' playmaking ability and passing is something that people took for granted. Right. Now he's got to do more of that because Marner is not there. And Nylander is setting up Tavares. What they'll need now is the guy that they thought they were trading for, who had 40 assists a couple of years ago, Michelli. They need him to generate some secondary offense. He seems to be out of it a little bit, but give it time and see what happens. But let's talk about the game.
And Max Domi's got 1 goal. So,
Max Domi's been in single digits the last 2 years.
Right. But Mike, you've gone on about this for years. The top guys are fine. It's the support guys. Where's the support scoring? Right? And then beyond that, the guys who are going to batten down the hatches and be defensive stalwarts. Right? It's I use the word. It's a mosaic, and at this point, it's incomplete. Mike, when John Snyder went to Brandon Little in Game 5.
Mm-hmm.
I told my wife, I said, game's over. And again, it's not that I'm the omniscient one. The thing I hate about baseball is that you can see what's coming before it arrives.
Right.
You just know it's coming. You're up 2-1. You've got 6 outs to get. You've got Sir Anthony Dominguez and Jeff Hoffman, big power arms, both rested, ready to go. And you call upon a funky lefty who can barely get strike one versus the weakest hitter in the league. And look how it unfolded. The guy didn't get an out, gives up a home run to Cal Raleigh, walks another guy, and then the wheels fell off. It's a decision that you cannot take back, but one that is just so damn frustrating amongst Jays fans, whether they're experts or not. It was a call that I don't think is going to cost them the series, but it cost them the leverage that they could have had advantage of and probably made better use of going into Game 6 tonight. Your thought?
Well, the funny thing was I had to look it up. Cal Raleigh had 38 home runs against righties, and only 22.
Oh, so now the analytics guys,
Right.
Analytics guys with the call down to the dugout.
And this has been a bug up my ass when it comes to the Yankees and it comes to most of these major league teams. These, there is no feel, there is no trust, there is no, like the manager falls into, certain patterns with certain players. It's all the numbers. It's so cold, it's so analytical. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure, I don't know the makeup of the lineup after Raleigh, but I'm sure there were a couple lefties in there. And they said, okay, we got to go to the lefty. And we're turning Raleigh around after, he's been batting left-handed. We're going to turn him around and have him right-handed. How did that turn out?
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
It's like you go, especially in a 5th game where it's a situation where you go with your best. You just do it. And the thing is, he may not have the power to do that. Like that's what they say in New York with Aaron Boone. Aaron Boone, in the end, the final decision is his. But if he goes against the numbers, he's going to have to be called to the carpet. So he's not going to go against it, and that's probably what Schneider did, and that it ended up killing him in the end.
So Raleigh and Polanco are both DHs, right? And oh wow, he Raleigh hit less home runs from the right side, so go to Little. I mean, give me a break, man. Give me a break. Little has been just an absolute tire fire as a reliever for this team over the last several seasons. It was I can't like. Did John Snyder really believe in his heart that was the right call to make? You needed 6 outs. 6 outs. I hope. Again, I don't think it's cost them the series. I mean, losing the first 2 at home, that's not ideal, and having to win 3 on the road to take 2 of 3, and in essence, it's a pretty damn good job to get it back to Toronto for games 6 and 7. But I hope that's not the turning point that is going to be focused on for the offseason if the Jays lose Game 6. In the same way that we could look back on the Leafs being up 2-0 in Florida, up 2-0, and then squandering a lead, but still having an opportunity to put the skate on the collective throat of the Panthers in overtime. They weren't able to do it. It was just so close yet so far away, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm just interested to see what the rotation, the pitching matchup today is Gilbert versus Isavich.
Right.
So if it goes to a Game 7, I mean, is it going to be Luis Castillo? Is it going to be for Seattle? I mean, I don't know. I don't know who they go to. And I don't know who the Blue Jays is. Are they going to pitch Gausman on short rest? I mean,
well, you got to throw the kitchen sink.
Oh yeah, I mean, everybody will be available, or everybody will be, because it's do or die.
Right.
But you also have to factor in, if you're a Blue Jays fan, is okay, you're going to have to throw the kitchen sink at this, and then you have the LA Dodgers sitting there rested and ready and probably pitching Yamamoto in Game 1 of the World Series. Whoever comes out of the series is at a distinct disadvantage, but I'm sure the Blue Jays fans will worry about that when time comes.
Well, Seattle and Toronto are playing for the right to lose to the Dodgers. I think the Jays have a better shot at beating the Dodgers, if that's even possible, just because They're just not a swing and miss team. They put the ball in play. And you can nickel and dime the Dodgers' incredible starters and maybe get something out of it. And again, making the World Series for Seattle is massive because they've never been this far. They've never played this late into a year before. And for Blue Jays fans, I mean, think about all of the millennial fans out there. They don't remember 92, 93. They were babies. I do. It was an amazing thing. And I'd love to see it again, regardless of how we believe the outcome will be with the almighty Dodgers. As a Yankees fan, a fan of the evil empire, how does it feel to see what the Dodgers are doing? Dave Roberts said it best after they swept the Brewers. Let's win another series and continue to ruin baseball.
Well, yeah, I mean, I hate the Dodgers, and the Dodgers beat the Yankees last year, but they were the better of the two teams. The Blue Jays. The funny thing is, the Blue Jays, if they win, game 1 and 2 of the World Series will be Friday and Saturday, the same same days as games 1 as
in Toronto.
And in Toronto. So the Buffalo Toronto game will be going probably at the same time. Nobody will be watching Sabres Leafs, and everybody will be watching the World Series if it's Blue Jays Dodgers. But it'll be interesting to be down, because I don't get up to Toronto as much as I used to. But going up there for Sabres Leafs, it's going to be an interesting atmosphere if it is World Series Game 1, and how for a very little moment hockey will take a back seat. But I always say this: if you think that the party it was a 2019 when the Raptors won, if you think the party in 92 or 93 when the Blue Jays won the World Series was big, if the Leafs ever win the Stanley Cup, it'll make those look like a friggin'
I don't know.
kids' team.
I don't know about that. I think those days of beating our chest and talking about how the Leafs are holier than thou or mightier than anything else, I think those days are over.
It's a hockey town. It's a hockey town.
Mike, there are 10 million people in the Golden Horseshoe. It's not a town. It's not Cincinnati.
I know. It's a hockey region.
The Blue Jays numbers, the TV numbers are on par with anything the Leafs produced last spring.
Right, because they're drawing from the entire country.
Right. But again, it's not a town. It's a massive cosmopolitan city with lots of sports and stuff. Again, I'm a baseball guy, but I think we're talking up a Maple Leafs team that can't even get past the second round of a playoffs, right?
And you're right. But what I'm saying,
we don't know any longer. We don't know any longer. But if the Jays win the World Series, there's going to be 2 million people in the streets. If the Leafs win the Stanley Cup sometime, does that make it 3 million or 4 million? I mean, it's still a lot of millions.
Yeah.
Right. And I think what's going on up here is I think it's more important than that you're getting a sense of, because maybe you're in Buffalo, right? But the Blue Jays have been around for 50 years. Sure. And they have won championships. And again, I was drinking the Kool-Aid from the Maple Leafs Cup for a very long period of time. But, maybe I'm a little bit less connected than I was because I'm a bit older. And like you, become more jaded. But you still are of the belief that the Leafs winning would trump all in terms of a celebration. And you know what, Mike? I hope you're right. But we need to see a team that has the capability of winning and to get to that point. And then you and I, as Stadler and Waldorf, can sit up in our perch and you can look at me and say, I told you so. So other than that, what's going on with you? Where are you writing? Where can we catch up with you?
Oh, every day at Hockey Hot Stove, covering the Leafs, and every day covering the Sabres for the Hockey News podcasts. And I made an appearance this week on the sheet with Jeff Merrick talking about the Sabres, and it's a daily thing, Norm, every day.
Right. Well, you're doing a fantastic job, and we're appreciative of your association with the Leafs Convo. OG's converts like the content, subscribe to the channel. Watch out for our TikTok shorts. They are just little snippets of our podcast that are cut up and sent out into the medium that is TikTok, as well as YouTube shorts. You can find them there. For Mr. Augello, I'm Norm James. The Leafs Convo Season 8 continues with all of us, and we're having a good time doing it. We'll see you next week.